Howdy nerds. It's another busy day here at Gonro Games. So, look at this, another mountain. This is like the fourth mountain of this that has come in. I am just exhausted with the amount of orders that have come in for these, what I like to call the failed Magic the Gathering product era that is now being blown out by frustrated distributors. I still don't know exactly how it works from Wizard of the Coast, if Wizard of the Coast actually writes this off as like, okay, distributors, now you can sell this at this price and we'll give you a discount on the next thing you purchase from us. Not exactly sure how the risk at the distribution level works. So if you are having insights on that, if you've ever worked for a distributor, please let me know. I think it'd be fun to kind of go down that rabbit hole of exactly how these blowouts happen. So as you can see, I guess it's not too secretive which distributors came from. This, I did a video about it earlier. This is the 2021 to 2023 era of the garbage products that did not sell. And distributors have just been overloaded. And you got to think, this is just one store that has bought this. It's just one lonely little store. I guarantee other stores have taken advantage of these sales. These sales have been pretty stupid. Like $60 New Capenna draft boosters. That's insane. When the going rate for draft boosters by the end of, I think it was Strixhaven era, was that after the price increase or before? I think it was before the price increase of draft, and they did the draft and set increase. So no, I think the last time, anyway, I think I'm off here, but I think the draft boosters were like almost 90 bucks and change, or maybe 85. I'm so, I can't remember now. Things change so quickly in this era. And so 60 bucks though is a steep discount. I mean, 30% at least would say for New Capenna type era products for draft boosters. And draft boosters used to be the hallmark. They used to be what we used to love about Magic as stores and collectors and players is products never lost money. Well, as they say, as you kids say, hold my beer, as Wizard of the Coast has now experimented with print runs that have just been insane. They have come to this now where we are overloaded. And I would say we're out of the weeds. I was starting to get a good feeling, a good notion that Magic the Gathering has kind of turned this page and are now restricting print runs. But now looking back at things like Murders of Karlov Manor and now even Outlaws of Thunder Junction, it seems those two products are going to be the way of the blowout pretty soon. So we are not out of the weeds, my dear friends. I think that Wizard of the Coast has a long ways to go before they can figure out. And I guess this brings us on to the next topic. So here we have Lorcana. So this is kind of some leftover boxes I had from Lorcana that I've just been kind of stubbornly sitting on because they haven't been the best sales as far as TCG market price. And then the problem with how it works in the real world, for all of us that live in reality, is stores, even though we are a brick and mortar, we do have to compete with TCG Player and all the online stores, because we do inevitably have customers that will not buy from us if they can get it cheaper on TCG Player. So that affects our sales and affects our ability to move this type of product. So I'm kind of stubborn with this. I don't like to sell at losses. I probably should have for this, because topic number 2 is Lorcana just did an oopsie, in my opinion. They did not want to listen to reason. They wanted to listen to greed. And I don't know how a company in this era, in this day and age, has not figured this out, and especially Ravensburger, because Ravensburger, I guess I'm just not listening to my own advice. I mean, Zach didn't want to touch Lorcana because we've already been burned by Ravensburger in the past with things like Villainous. I mean, on a low scale, we're talking like just a small board game, but Villainous used to be ultra collectible. It used to be not really collectible. The print runs of Villainous wasn't crazy to where they had to blow it out. They did stupid little gimmicky things like have exclusive at Disneyland. And for all these who don't know, Villainous is just a board game. It's just a lackluster board game at that. But it had the very popular Disney IP behind it, and so it did sell pretty well. And then the hubris of, and it led to like not being able to find it that easy, but it was still accessible. And it led to the hubris of Ravensburger just print it through the roof. They just print. And we saw Amazon dumps and we saw stores blowing it up for as much as $3. So that is what I remember my sister-in-law said. She was in Colorado on the way here and she bought a Villainous for $3, a little $3 and change for an entire board game. And at that point, you know, you got to think that these companies have lost a lot of money. And it is a tightrope, and I admit it, it's very, very tough for companies to try to determine the amount of print run. But this throw the caution to the wind nonsense of, oh, our expenses aren't that much to create these cardboard products. That's what I've done the comparison of collector boosters and arena starter kits. If they can make profit off arena starter kits that sell for $4, then you better believe they're making insane profit versus the cost of cardboard and ink, what they're making on $200 collector boxes. So Wizards have a lot. These games have a lot of leeway, a lot of wiggle room for losses. However, their strategic partners do not. If they want a booster box to sell at the distribution level, so let's say that I'm getting it, we'll just round off a play booster like a $125, but let's put it for $100 for just the sake of this argument here. So if I'm buying it from distributors for a product for $100, the distributor is probably buying it from the manufacturer for the 80s to 90s. I mean, their profit margins are slim. How they work is they are just able to do so much volume that's where their money comes from. If you can bank on the volume, there's a lot of leeway, a lot of wiggle room for low profit margins to be able to recoup that and just make good money through just actually bulk sales at that point. However, so that's not a lot of wiggle room if something collapses 30%. So they have 20% wiggle room on what they buy from like the manufacturer before they are starting to lose money. And again, I'd like to know some insight on exactly how it works. I'm wondering if these companies do. I know some companies do allow for distributors to sell at lower cost, say, okay, we'll eat it, we'll give you a kind of a write-off for when you buy another products or a reimbursement. Exactly, I don't know. Man, what the hell is going on? I have so many people coming in and out of our door. It is Commander night, and I like to make fun of Commander players. They can't sit and play their damn game. Has anyone else noticed that at their store? The Commander must be the most boring format in the entire history of the universe, that they can't sit and play at their pod when it's not their turn. They have to go wander the store and buy snacks and go to the bathroom and do everything else because it must be so horrendously boring that you can't sit at your own table. Okay, I'll quit insulting the Commander players and get back to you can hear my door going nuts back there. People walking in and out of the store. And this is after hours as far as like regular people coming in to play. So it's just Commander players. Anyway, where was I with this conversation? So anyway, back to Lorcana. So where I'm saying Lorcana did an oopsies, I was checking my numbers for Shimmering Skies that is coming out. First of all, Shimmering Skies, the pre-order price is absolutely dismal. If you're trying to be an online seller, I think the days of online selling is pretty much, there's too many cooks. There's too many chefs in the kitchen. There's too many of you out there to try to make work. Stop. Do us all a favor. You're not making any money. Let the brick and mortars that actually have an advantage be able to have decent profit margins at this point. But anyway, I digress with what I'm talking about. I'm kind of whining with that whole aspect of the market. Shimmering Skies is doing horrendous right now for, comparatively speaking, to the set before it, Ursula's Return, which didn't do that great, which Inklands, which did okay, Floodborne, which did amazing, and First Chapter, of course, was just through the roof, which caused to the speculation, to the the scalpers. And that's something that I talked about on my Patreon, a bit of a warning. I'll probably have a more detailed video on my Rogue Market channel about Lorcana, and just read you what I wrote on my my kind of warning to my patrons about kind of investing. And I want to say this, like, this channel and my Rogue Market channel, I don't think are geared towards speculators and big investors. Like, I think there's better places to put your money than Magic the Gathering or Lorcana or collectibles. I think everyone likes to put their money where their hobbies are. And I think that's bad. I think that if you really want to park your money, there are better places to do it, more boring places to do it. The only reason you should ever be parking your money in something like collectibles or card games and stuff like that is if you have an alternative way to sell things like mine. So that they bleed, these are my two gigs here kind of marry off each other and bleed into each other with the actual brick and mortar, with my knowledge, with my, holding on to products. So eventually I can actually sell it for higher, mainly in my brick and mortar, for people actually coming in physically and buying stuff. That is a massive advantage that I have over like an online store. Yes, we have the overhead. Yes, we have all the logistics. That is a headache, but it still is a massive advantage at that point. So Lorcana, what's happened with Lorcana is they haven't been able to resist the temptation now. The greed has really gotten to them. And maybe it's just, at this point, they just don't have people that can realize that a lot of their and I've been saying this from the beginning, a lot of Lorcana was speculative driven, same like Flesh and Blood was. And all of that product eventually has to come back on the market. Now, First Chapter has done okay because there still seems to be enough demand to just really slurp up the supply when it does come back onto the market. Or you're just seeing, since it is the first set, you're seeing speculators, you're seeing investors a little more stubborn with that they're going to hold on it for, 5-10 years. And this is the type of product they don't worry so much about the cash flow. They are going to, Bruce, I'm going to murder if you're going to chew plastic. Little punk. He's already in trouble because he eats plastic. Let's put that away, my dude. I try to do videos and everything just goes haywire with dogs and things going in that store. Anyway, so back to Lorcana. What I'm trying to get at this is, like, first chapter, I think there's probably a lot more supply that was never opened. And that, unfortunately, it sets up a lot of games for failure. I think we're going to start to see that with One Piece, as One Piece is trying now to adjust their print runs to actually meet demand. But is demand actually demand, or it is speculative demand plus demand, which is giving a missed signal to these manufacturers that the game is actually more desired than it is. And that is why I keep saying it takes people with big boy pants in these companies to resist the urge to print into speculative demand. And so far, all of these companies in 2021 and beyond have absolutely failed, save Star Wars Unlimited. Star Wars Unlimited is the one company that seems to be, and this is crazy because Fantasy Flights is usually the company that throws caution to the wind, but they're the only ones that have actually toned it down and actually said, okay, yes, scalpers and speculators are going to eat stuff up. However, we cannot print into speculative demand, otherwise it causes that domino effect where then the supply gets back in the market and then none of our strategic partners can actually make money. Kind of looping this back where I was talking about how distributors have that 20% kind of leeway before they start losing money. And stores have even less than that before they start losing money, before a product starts to crash. They're already competing with online and everything. So that is kind of my rant, being and most people on this channel, like a lot of people, oh, greedy Kevin, you greedy capitalist, blah, blah, blah. They don't understand that it's far more complex than that. This actually is the health of the game in the long term. As I stated in my Lorcana, I think that now that prices are going to crash, if we see going back to Lorcana, I don't think I ever finished my thought because I've been distracted. When I was checking over my numbers, all the three, not the first set, but Floodborn, Inklands, and Return of Ursula have all got a reprint, all at the same time. Which again, this is not the strategy you want. I prefer like a trickle-in strategy. Do a small printing of Floodborn. It's the one that needs it right now. A small printing. They shouldn't be touching Inklands and Ursula's Return. Both of those are still at distributor price at the TCG level. When they're selling for $100, that's basically my cost after fees for a Lorcana booster box. A lot of other stores, they might have a little bit better leverage with or just a little more, they buy in higher quantities, they might get, $5 off of that. But your average brick and mortar store is getting them for around $90 to $100 a booster box. So if they're going for TCG Player, and you got to think of the fees that are associated with TCG Player and the shipping and everything else. If you're selling at $100, you're losing money. That's just the reality of it. And at that point, what that will do is those things are important to the ecosystem. If those are no longer able to be those stores are no longer be able to be profitable, or stores now can't compete with that sort of nonsense and shenanigans, and they decide not to carry it, well, that is going to reduce demand just by availability. And it causes what I call that domino effect of then all of a sudden we have a lack of faith in the market, because you players need to quit lying to yourselves and saying that you are just there for the game pieces, because every player is a collector. There's not one person I've ever met that doesn't care about the value of their collection, just say, I want this stuff to play with. Then why do you collect the expensive cards of it? Why do you, like everyone I know tries to chase stuff. Why do you like that feel of opening the packs and trying to get something that's valuable? That is part of collectible card games. That's part of the interest of them, is that collector aspect to it. Humans, as just a psychological need, we want to work towards some things and we want to feel valued for what we purchase. And so this is my huge warning now to Lorcana. It's like the billionth game in a row, I swear, that just cannot resist that urge to print into speculative demand, because the hubris gets them. Their game is so big. They're like, it was sad too, because Lorcana was just starting to crack where the EV of opening booster boxes was just about where the booster box price was. So, and then what usually happens at that point is then box prices can then go up to a healthy level. Boxes for Lorcana should be selling between 125 and 140 on the secondary market. That is healthy margins in any industry. And we've just gotten so complacent in this market, or just so used to this market of stores not being able to recoup costs, where it's just been a buyer's market for so long, that now people think it's just absolute greed to trying to be expecting decent margins, decent industry standard margins. And I didn't like the days of where I only got 3 of the From the Vault Legends and they sold for, 7x times, and everyone felt, they cost stores, $30, and they sold for, 250. I didn't like the days of Modern Horizons 1 where there wasn't enough supply to go out and just, the scalpers and the speculators. I mean, it's terrible for stores too. First of all, we don't get enough product to actually make decent profit overall. And second of all, the speculators eat it up and it just creates a bad taste in your mouth. So again, it takes a tightrope. It takes the manufacturer to really do their due diligence and realize exactly the print numbers they need to put out there and resist that urge to try to make that quick buck because of speculative demand. Because eventually the chickens come home to roost. And in this case, the chickens, this is the greed of printing into the speculative demand. All the product, all the stuff when they FOMO, when they do this whole starve and then dump type of policy, everything goes back on the market, and you see something like Flesh and Blood happen. Now, Flesh and Blood has been plagued for years for doing that, where they haven't been able to reach their full potential, where they could be selling now. This modern era type of stuff in Flesh and Blood would be doing so much better if it didn't have the bad taste in the mouth of years in the past of failed products that are still below distributor costs now, from everything from Welcome to Wraith all the way up to Tales of Aria. So I don't know how many people are familiar with those type of IPs, but I'm just giving you a little bit of sense. The same thing is for like the Universes. Universes is still now, it's actually changed ownership from when it was the My Hero Academia time period. I believe anyway. I think someone's taken over the game, or maybe they've just kind of rebranded it and tried to pick up other stuff. But they are still struggling now from printing into that initial speculative demand. So again, kudos to Star Wars Unlimited. And I know that a lot of people hate that, are very frustrated with Star Wars Unlimited. Stores are frustrated with Star Wars Unlimited because there doesn't seem enough product to actually support drafts and limited environments. However, I think that is inevitably better when your customers can actually feel good about a purchase and be like, oh man, I can't believe I got in at this time where I could do this. Then they do have like, oh man, I bought that new Capenna collector's booster box for, $250, and now I'm seeing it all over Amazon for $100. Stupid me. Oh, and I've already reprinted chase cards out of new Capenna that's just barely rotated out of standard for God knows why. Like that type of business strategy, I think, as you market, and that's my entire point, stores or manufacturers have marketed these products as collectibles, Pokemon, Lorcana, Magic. You can't then renege on that and be like, nope, it's now basically free game pieces for everyone, and we're just going to go completely utility driven, but actually not even respect like utility to a point when you crush things by so many printings. So anyway, I was going to show this and I somehow got onto this rant, and I'll probably talk more about it tonight on my Rogue Market channel. If you're interested in that, come over and check out my Rogue Market channel. But yeah, it is a warning sign. That's something to tell everyone about Lorcana. If you play the game, enjoy it, have fun. That's the most important part. But this is a business channel. This is talking about LGSs. This is talking about the entire market as a whole. This is talking about what I deal with on a day-to-day basis. And that's why I'm kind of giving my 2 cents about it. I wish they would take the side of caution. I think it's better for the industry as a whole than to just, like I said, just print into that speculative demand. We've seen it kill board games for long term. So I can even remember games like Blood Rage that had overprinting, and then you saw that copy sell for nothing, and then all of a sudden it's like no one can make profit out of it, and then they sell out, and then no one can find it, so no one plays the game, and now it's like, okay, everyone forgot about the game, so no one buys it like they used to, when it could have been like a game that sold quite consistently if they wouldn't have overprinted it in the first place. So again, I'm off on huge tangents here at this point, and I'm just gonna, should we open up some of these things here? I don't even know where a knife is. I got so unprepared. Sometimes I just grab and, oh boy. Let's see here. But yeah, so this is kind of fun. I guess that was my whole purpose of this, is like I said, this is the 3rd or 4th shipment we've had. So, my patrons have gone absolutely crazy with this product, because at this point, I still am under the belief that, what is Zach? Zach is trying to distract me. See, I can't do a video without the store going crazy, without dogs chewing on plastic and dogs going up and slurping on and barking and ay. And now distracted by a 3D printed dinosaur, huh? So anyway, back to what I was saying. Good God, now I can't get this to stay. I'm kind of in the agreement here that this is just such a safe bet. What's the more likelihood? A new Capenna collector's booster box going back up from $100 to $200, or something like the Bloomborough collector booster box going from $200 to $400? So in my opinion, I like to get in on the trash product. I think the Amonkhet is a good example of a product that was blown out back in the day. I'm still kicking myself because a distributor wanted me to buy like $2,000 worth of Amonkhet bundles. They offered it. They just called up, hey, we're selling this to another buyer unless you want to take it. And I passed on it. And it was like, it was insanely cheap. Like the bundles were like 12 bucks a piece for Amonkhet bundles. I don't want to look and see what Amonkhet bundles are at this point. But that was another era of overprinting, but I thought was the height of overprinting back then. And like I said, Wizard Coast did a hold your beer. And then we saw like the 2022 era. So anyway, let's go ahead and see. I think these are going to be all free-for-alls in here. So it's not going to be, yeah, this is going to be all basically free-for-alls. So this sale, I think, is over. I'll have to check and see if they've extended it. But I believe it actually, it stopped on in July, so now that it's August, I can't believe it's already August. Yeah, this is going to be just a ton of free-for-all boxes, and they have one in here. Are you kidding me? There's one box? That was a waste of a shipment. So why didn't they just ship this? Just slap a tag on this, and anyone want some boxes? Oh yeah, buried in these suckers. So anyway, yeah, so people have taken advantage of like game nights and things like that. Same thing, like these products are quite bulky, but the cards, I believe someone did the math and you get like $70 worth of cards on these game nights for 30 bucks. But again, after fees and selling them and waiting, and it's a big process. Oh boy, this is such a crazy industry. So you got to keep on trugging when you're in it. So I don't know what I'm going to do in the future. As long as I'm still having fun with it, I'll definitely keep running it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, although I've rambled like no other. Kevin with Gone Rogue Games. Come check me out on my Rogue Market and my Rogue Deck Builder channel. We're going to be hitting standard hard and actually playing some Magic the Gathering. Thanks for watching.